In this video, we're going to be looking at how you see your registration statistics for a particular tournament. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump right in to a tournament. We're here at our dashboard. We're going to click into the tournament setup page by clicking the tournament name. And we can see here, this is a pretty standard, kind of a beginning of a registration for a smaller or medium-sized tournament. We've got 8 anglers, over 5 teams registered. We've got a couple TWT set up, and everything else looks pretty normal. Over here on the left-hand side, underneath your settings, you see a bunch of buttons that people usually miss. So this is a great little resource for tournaments, places where you can send text messages out to your teams or anglers. You can set boat numbers for teams. You can manage your app listing under WP tournaments, how your tournament is actually going to show up in that listing. But one of the things that's really cool is this little registration statistics button. So we can see statistics usually under our reports. We can usually see, where everybody's registered in the divisions and classifications. We can set that up. But this is actually a little nice place to see kind of a global overview of your tournament. So if I click into it, I can see here, I can see the registrations totals over time, this little graph up here. If I open up the dates, if I move this dates box around, if I just kind of select my registration dates, I can actually see over time who has registered, what anglers and what teams have registered, teams being here in green and anglers in orange. And I can see what were my biggest dates of registration, etc. If I go down here below, I can see general totals broken up by division, by gender, by groups, classifications, etc. Here we've got this little box with registration totals to see how many anglers and teams. We can see that same information on the main tournament setup page. Each one of these little boxes has a little graph that you can kind of open up to, so I can see, of new versus returning teams. So who hasn't ever registered to a tournament in my software? I can look at that. I can see these 4 teams are completely new, and this one is returning from a prior tournament. That's pretty cool. And I can do the same thing with anglers. Over here on the left, I can see the genders. I can see who are my male and female anglers, so I can open that up, and I can actually see them and click them and edit them if I need to. For example, look, I can see Ava Schuster should have registered as a female. I know Ava, so I can click Ava, click edit, and I can switch her over to female. So right from here, I can see I could just switch her over to the female group, and now here she's listed under females. So it's a great way to kind of check to see if you can see any anomalies and fix them kind of on a global scale. Over here, one of the cool things about not only just seeing who's in your divisions and on both an angler and a team side and who's on your classifications, but what you can also see is how those divisions and classifications overlap. So I can see my adults, my pro, and amateur, but I can also see who are my adult pros and my adult amateurs. So I've got 0 amateur adults, but I've got all the pros here listed. I can see my junior amateurs listed here as well. So I can click into them and I can make those changes if I need to, or I can just kind of just review on a big global scale. And I can also see who's not registered into a particular division or classification. So over here, for example, on the classifications, for my anglers, I can see somebody missed, and this is that same Ava Schuster, who did not actually set a classification for themselves when they registered. Probably have that not required in my tournament settings, which is why she was able to do that. But I can click her, and then I can say, okay, I know she's an amateur. So I'm going to go to there, and I'm going to just set her as an amateur, and I'll save my changes. And now she's listed under the amateurs, and also under here, she's an adult amateur. So pretty cool way of kind of just globally seeing your registration statistics for your tournament. And then you can close it by clicking this button.